I think I might have a bit of an edge over some people. Not because I'm so special, but because everyone else is really just dumb. No, really, I don't identify really with any political party. And that's where I think 9/10 of my edge comes from in terms of being up on some other radio show hosts. And I don't even mean radio show hosts on other stations or that one particular radio show host I'm pointing at. No, I just mean I don't have any real political affiliations other than just ideas which I got from reading stuff essentially and from meeting other people who are like-minded. But I'm not registered with any political party. I have no intention of being registered with any political party. Why would I want to be, really? Why would I want to register with any party that doesn't really align itself with my own personal, very specific beliefs? I can't be Republican and I can't really be Democrat because neither of those parties suit me in any way. And I know there's some people say, well, lesser of two evils. Well, you know what? Lesser of two evils is still evil by definition because it's still in the phrase there. It's still the lesser of two evils is still evil. It's like the old saying goes, and I think it's Spurgeon, man who I greatly respect. I think it was Spurgeon who said, when given the option between the lesser of two evils, choose neither. So that's why I don't belong to any political party. I couldn't even really belong to the Libertarian Party because there's some Libertarian Party politics which are not favorable to my views about abortion. I'm not in favor of abortion. It's aborticide. It's murder. And so I couldn't sign on with any party that condones murder, which is why I'm not Democrat and I'm not really Republican, because there are some Republicans who are jumping on the women's rights, my body, my rules bandwagon for popularity points. Whether or not they believe in it or not, I don't know. But this is Best Shot here on Hot News Talk Radio, the show where you have your option to throw some artillery our way. Go to our Twitter, Hot News Talk Radio on Twitter. Give us a call. Tell us what you think, or just call us now without having looked at our Twitter to tell us what you think about what you've heard here on Hot News Talk Radio, because heaven knows we are controversial. There's no there's no two ways about that. Between me, David Tulis, and Confederate Mike, there's no shortage of controversiality. What's the proper way for that? I don't know. There's no shortage of controversial content going on between all of us combined here at Hot News Talk Radio. So I'm looking at the Twitter here, and I saw something that piqued my interest, and I just have to talk about it, being a good old Georgia boy here. There's a bit of a controversy going on in Georgia, the state of Georgia, where Hollywood is threatening a boycott of the state of Georgia. Now, that probably doesn't sound like a big deal immediately to you because you're thinking, well, why would Hollywood care at all about Georgia? Well, The Walking Dead films in Georgia. The new, Baywatch is filming in Georgia. Different productions film in Georgia. I think there's a movie that's filming in Atlanta. Atlanta has a lot of film stuff going on. Never mind television, too, because Turner Broadcasting is located in, you guessed it, Georgia, in Atlanta. If you drive through I-75 south through Atlanta, you're guaranteed to see the Boomerang logo over there. That's Turner. You're going to see Cartoon Network, Adult Swim. That's all, Turner. You're going to see Turner Broadcasting stuff. You're going to see CNN is located in Atlanta. Fox has an office in Atlanta. ABC, any of the big news agencies, they're all located in Atlanta because Atlanta is the sort of cultural and societal hub of the South in a lot of ways. Because Nashville is certainly very, what's the right word for it? Nashville is really culturally important to the South in a music sense. And Atlanta is really important to the South in more of a business sense. Not to say Atlanta is unimportant, not to say Nashville is unimportant, but Atlanta sort of has that edge. And maybe I'm a little bit biased because, I'm from Georgia. I'm a Georgian. I live there. I think it's the best state in the union. Tennessee is A-okay, though, in my books. I think Tennessee is a great state. But my heart will always lie in Georgia. Bury me in Georgia when I die is basically what I'm saying. So there's a Georgia bill in the House right now that's very controversial. If you look at any of the news about it, it's always referred to as either a anti-gay bill or an anti-LGBT bill, discrimination bill, what have you. Like, okay, for instance, let's look at one article from, let's say, and most of these are actually from not really like news sources, but here's one from, CNN, no. Let's go for the Daily Beast. Everyone's read the Daily Beast at some point. Here's an article here that says the NFL wants to sack anti-gay bill in Georgia. Now, the NFL is very important to Georgia. The Super Bowl could potentially come to Georgia very soon. The Atlanta Falcons are a very important football team, I guess, in the NFL. So it's very important for Georgia to get the Super Bowl because Georgia has the stadium. Georgia's got all the good stuff. Well, Roger Goodell, who's the commissioner of the National Football League, the NFL, is on the cusp of becoming America's newest gay icon. Goodell, who has an openly gay brother, and the NFL have emerged as staunch allies in the gay rights advocates' efforts to defeat House Bill 757, the controversial religious freedom bill that passed Georgia legislature last week. Well, that's all well and good. But here's the thing, because there is a thing here. It's called the Pastor Protection Act, depending on who you ask. But a lot of the articles, and the Daily Beast does a pretty good job here, but a lot of the articles I've read, especially from the Gawker-type websites, salon.com, what have you, always without failure will talk about how it's a anti-gay bill, and they don't really talk about what's in it other than just it's a controversial anti-gay bill, and if it gets passed, then Julianne Moore is not going to go on vacation in Atlanta. What does that mean, really? Okay, so what's in it? Well, it's actually not nearly as bad, or maybe it's not bad at all, because when you look at it, House Bill 757 is a bill which would limit which would not allow pastors to be forced to perform marriages for gay couples. And it would allow, say, the classic issue of the cake maker who's forced to make the gay cake. It would protect that cake maker from having to make that gay cake. And it's not like Georgia is coming in and the state legislature is swooping in and saying no more gay stuff in Georgia. It's not what's happening. Georgia's coming in and saying this is a discretion thing where businesses can have discretion over which clients they want to serve. And I don't have a problem with that, honestly. I don't see a big problem here because I guarantee you there are a lot of cake shops that have no problem whatsoever having homosexual clients. And there are probably some Unitarian pastors out there who have no problems performing a marriage ceremony for a gay couple. That's just free market at work. So the issue here is being far overblown, as nearly it always is. We got a caller on the air. Caller, you're on the air. What's going on? This is Best Shot. Caller? I don't think we lost that one. Call back if you can. There was no audio on the line. Probably a phone problem. You know how it is. You have millions of lines and millions of wireless networks going on, and at some point there's going to be a problem, and it looks like we ran into one that one. Caller, are you there this time?
This is a situation where you have to tell the NFL and Hollywood to go to hell. So who do they think they are that they can tell pastors they have to marry queers? Come on. First of all, there's no such thing as a marriage between a man and a woman and a woman. And I wish people would just stand up and go, shut up. Yeah, this is ridiculous. And grow a set. Come on. Come on. If they want to create a civil union contract, the state can allow you to marry and have sex with your horse. They have that much power. But they can't call it marriage because it's biblical. So anyone that thinks it's marriage, first of all, they're brain. They're typically Democrats that are retarded anyway. They're not very. They have a mental illness. They're stupid, and they have mental. I hate to call names, but things are what they are.
I don't think you do hate to call them names, actually.
What?
I don't think you do hate to call them names, actually.
Oh, I love to call them names because really they have a mental illness. And on top of that, who do you think they are telling the pastor they got to marry 2 boys and 2 girls? Let's think about this. You're going to get insurance, or you have a job with the city, and the question is, are you cohabitating? Do you mean, am I having anal sex with John? Yes, I am. Okay, well, you get all of his benefits. Oh, no, John's just my friend. So because I don't have anal sex with John, and we're just cohabitating as friends, I get none of the benefits. But if I have anal sex with him, or oral sex, I get all the benefits.
Well,
no wonder why the Arabs hate us. No wonder why they're bombing us. I mean, think about this. Think about it. No wonder why they're blowing themselves up to kill Americans. I'm not condoning it. But look at our behavior. They have to look at us and go, these guys are a bunch of satanic pigs. Thanks,
I think. Well, something funny story, actually, just on this note. Few good friends of mine, very good friends of mine, we go to church together, which is funny considering the story. Few very good friends of mine, and we all go to church together. We were talking about sort of pitching in and getting a place of our own because we're we were young guys. It's not like housing is exactly affordable, especially then in the height of the Great Recession, which is actually possibly worse than the Great Depression in terms of economic situations. But anyway, we were looking at getting a house together or renting one. And we sort of came up with a bright idea of saying, because this was in Tennessee, the bright idea of saying, well, what if we just say we're gay? I mean, think about it. What if we just say we are gay? And so, we're living together as a gay couple, and maybe we get some extra benefits out of it. Maybe we could actually just get a gay marriage certificate from the courthouse, right? And because that was legal, just get a gay marriage certificate from the courthouse, and then we can get all sorts of extra benefits. We're not gay. I'm not gay. I don't think any of my friends are gay. Oh, I mean, not any of those friends. I do have friends who are gay, but none of those friends were gay. So why not? Why not? Just file papers with the courthouse and you're good to go. Sounds good to me. I don't know. I think it was a pretty good idea at the time. But there's something similar that happened in North Carolina that I want to really quickly talk about, because I know North Carolina has nothing to do with Tennessee, nothing to do with Georgia. It's North Carolina. But maybe you live in North Carolina and you have a 4-hour commute to work in Chattanooga. If you do, thank you. Chattanooga is a great city, and I'm glad you're working here, although you should probably take your money back to North Carolina because your local economy needs it. But North Carolina had a bill not too long ago. In fact, it passed yesterday or day before, I believe, which was about bathrooms. And it's not a bad bill when I'm reading it, because I'm reading it as someone who thinks that transsexuals are, I don't want to say mentally ill outright, but kind of mentally ill. When you look at the whole psychology of it, it really seems to be mentally ill to me. But when you look at transsexuals, the whole issue with the bathroom thing, where let's say that I say I'm a woman, and I identify as a woman, which I could technically just do right now and just say for the heck of it, I identify as a woman, because why not? It'd be fun. I identify as a woman, and so that being the case, I get to use the female restroom. Well, the legislature in North Carolina had kind of a problem with that and said, okay, well, this is obviously a action for the state legislature, because you have public bathrooms which are owned by the state at rest stops, courthouses, the jails, all these different institutions which North Carolina has jurisdiction, in air quotes, over. Okay, so North Carolina settles this issue in record time, saying that your sex, your gender, is what is written on your birth certificate. Fair enough. Biological sex is determined as what is written on your birth certificate. That seems fair enough to me. That's what it is. You can't change your chromosomes. You might have surgery on your parts down there, if you get my drift, your hardware. You might throw something away or add something in there, but it doesn't change your chromosomes. It doesn't change your what you are. You are male biologically, you are female biologically, no matter what you think in your head. That's a whole nother issue, what you think in your head. But biologically, you are male or female. There's not any two ways about it. Actually, there are only two ways about it. There's not any three ways about it. You are male or you are female. End of story. And for the state, that's all it needed to be. And when you look at the whole issue of, I'm online a lot, so I see a lot more than possibly you do. Not that you're uninformed or misinformed. It's just I'm more embedded in the degeneracy, maybe. But when I look at it, and I look at the transsexual movement online, it's not just male to female or female to male, because I can understand the whole mentality of I was born in the wrong body. I get that. I've never experienced that, but I've known people who have. I understand it in terms of a psychological effect that this has on you, and you feel as though you are a man, or you feel as though you are a woman, and so you want to act as though you are one too, so you want to use the men's or the women's restroom. Okay, I understand that, but still, the whole biological sex thing applies. And plus, you could have predators who are going to use this as an excuse and just say, I'm transsexual. And as long as you say that, there's not really any proof to say that you are or are not, other than just you say that you are, right? I mean, what else are you going to use? Because this is talking about gender identity. It's not just post-op or pre-op. It's gender identity, as in what you say today that you are. Because, and this is how messed up it gets, there's such a thing, such a concept as gender fluidity, where I feel male today, but tomorrow I might wake up and feel pretty hormonal. I'm a woman now. Or I feel like a woman today, which is really funny with my voice, I think. I feel like a woman today, but tomorrow, I think I'm a guy again. so I'm going to go back to using the men's restroom. But tomorrow I'm a woman, so I'm going to start using the female restroom. You see where this causes problems. And you see where the North Carolina legislature is coming from. So North Carolina signed the bill that it did. And there are other bills similar to that in Tennessee and in Georgia. And it's not anything new. It's not anything extraordinary. It just is what it is. And this made all of like 10 people upset on Twitter. And once you get people upset on Twitter, you start having a, well, I can't use the proper word for it, the proper phraseology for it, because we have FCC regulations on WSDT, Saudi Daisy. But it's a storm of very nasty things. You start as a storm, we'll put it that way. And it gets to be very problematic. And, you know, they start talking about gender fluidity, and our legislatures have to deal with that. And it's all a big mess. So fortunately, from my perspective, North Carolina set up what I think is good legislation, just saying straight out, what you are on your birth certificate is what you are. A doctor examined you, said this is biologically a man, thus a man uses the men's restroom. And there can be businesses that have other ways of going about it. You can have unisex restrooms in private business, but we're talking about public establishments. But, you know, we could talk about this for forever. We could get into gender politics for years and years and years. And honestly, I kind of don't feel like doing that. The number to call in here is 423-800-8949, 423-800-8949. If you want to talk about gender politics for whatever reason, because it's not really a very intriguing topic, which is why I spent like 3 minutes on it tops. 423-800-8949 is the number to call in at Hot News Talk Radio. This is Best Shot. Check out our Twitter, Hot News Talk Radio on Twitter. And I want to let you know about something. I want you to go somewhere. I want you to go somewhere. Because right now it's coming up on 11:30. And I know your stomach is probably growling a little bit, you know, because mine is. I just had a Starbucks double shot coffee that I got at Dollar General down the street. And I've had like 2 slices of pizza left over from yesterday. That's been the extent of my ingestion. And I'm really feeling like a burger right about now. And I hope that you are too. But the thing is, if you go to Five Guys Burgers and Fries, a wonderful establishment, great people over there, some of the best burgers you'll ever have. Right there near the trash can, you'll notice a little box that has our logo on it, the Hot News Talk Radio logo. If you register and guess the first, second, and third place winners of the Sprint Cup Series this weekend, and you're correct, then you get a prize. We'll actually look it up. We'll go retrieve the box, and we'll open it up, and we'll look and see who was right, and we'll call out the names on the radio show here at 11 o'clock, 11:30 on Hot News Talk Radio on Binary, which is my other show, which is on Monday. So if your name gets called out, you have 12 minutes and 40 seconds to call in, and you win your prize, which is $124 cash and $124 in Five Guys food. So you get cash and you get free food. Free money, free food. All you got to do is fill out a card and listen to the radio. Simple as that. Good stuff, easy. And plus, you know what? You get to go to Five Guys and eat some really good food. So how could you possibly lose? You really can't. So go to Five Guys Burgers and Fries on 153. Fill out the card. Guess the first, second, and third place winners of the Sprint Cup Series race this weekend. And if you win, you get yourself a nice prize, $124 cash weekly and $124 in Five Guys food, which you just can't lose with that deal. So let's go to Tennessee now. Let's look at what's going on in Tennessee, because there actually is quite a lot happening in Tennessee that is worth your ear. Because when I do a show like this one, when we're talking about radio, we're talking about local issues, we're talking about stuff that's pertinent to you. Gender politics, like we were talking about before, is a cultural issue which is pertinent to you. It's important to you. And when we're talking about House Bill 757 in Georgia, that's something that if you live in Georgia, that's very important to you. This is something which is important not just to you, but it's important nationally too, because this is about not just the Second Amendment. It's also about your right to have a private sale. It's for your right for commerce. You have a right to buy and sell things privately with other individuals. That's just free market. It's common law. Goes back way before the Constitution, way before common law, way before governments potentially. You bartered. You bought and sold things with other people. This is something that has been the case for basically forever, since the beginning of time. I'm sure Cain went out and sold his crops. Abel probably went out. Well, Abel was dead, so he couldn't have. But I'm sure Cain went out and sold his crops. You know, soon after the beginning of time, people started buying and selling. And capitalism was born like 1 BC. So it's good stuff, or 4,000 BC, whenever it was. So there's a new bill, or a bill which was killed, fortunately, in the Tennessee legislature. According to the Tennessean, a Tennessee lawmaker bought a gun and brought it to the legislature, which on its own, that headline sounds really scary, like he tried to shoot up the place. No, he's trying to make a political point. A Tennessee lawmaker bought a gun easily, privately, and then brought it to the Tennessee state legislature. And our representative, Mike Stewart, was the one who bought it. Sorry, he's not our representative, but a representative from the Hamilton County District was there and was not very happy about what happened. So this is very pertinent to us here in Hamilton County. According to the Tennessean, great website, great journalism, in an effort to highlight a need for enhancing background check requirements, Representative Mike Stewart bought a newly purchased semi-automatic rifle to Legislative Plaza on Wednesday. Okay. Stewart, who's a Democrat from Nashville, of course, had the military-style weapon, with him during a House Civil Justice Subcommittee meeting where he presented two bills which would bolster requirements for background checks in private sales. Oh, background checks in private sales, meaning that you couldn't just go out and buy an AR-15 if you wanted to from Joe Blow down the street. Instead, you'd have to go through a whole process with probably the FBI or the state where you have a background check. Well, Mike Carter, who's a representative and Republican from Ottawa, questioned whether Stewart had actually properly checked the gun, saying, this gun could be loaded. You obviously don't own one. You do not have it properly safe. Do not point it at me if you can't assure me that gun cannot shoot. So I'd say Mr. Stewart from Ottawa knows his guns, and probably the other guy from Nashville probably didn't. More about this in just a few minutes here on Best Shot. This is Best Shot on AM 1240 Hot News Talk Radio. Number to call in, 423-800-8949. HotNewsTalkRadio.com is the website. Get us on Twitter, Hot News Talk Radio on Twitter. Get the TuneIn Radio app for your smartphone. Search for Hot News Talk Radio. This is, you guessed it, Hot News Talk Radio.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240. AM 1240 Hot News Talk Radio, with your chance to win $124 in cash and $124 in food every week with the Hot News Talk Radio Five Guys Burgers and Fries 1, 2, 3 NASCAR contest. All you have to do is guess who's going to be first, second, and third place in the upcoming NASCAR Sprint Cup race. If you guess it, you'll hear your name live Monday morning at 11:30. Then call AM 1240 Hot News Talk Radio to win. Enter your guess right now at Five Guys Burgers and Fries, 153 in Hickson, featuring the juiciest 100% all beef, have it your way hamburgers and the most delicious milkshakes in town. Enter your guesses now at Five Guys Burgers and Fries, Route 153 in Hickson. Then listen to the race live to win $124 in cash and $124 in food from Five Guys Burgers and Fries and Chattanooga's official NASCAR radio station.
Hot News Talk 1240.
I love NASCAR.
Shake, shake, shake it at Five Guys Burgers and Fries. The most delicious and unique milkshakes. How about this for delicious and different? Add freshly cooked bacon to any milkshake.
Is that even legal?
You bet your milkshake and booty it is. Chocolate caramel bacon shake. Coffee caramel shake. All hand blended. Shake, shake, shake it. Down at Five Guys Burgers and Fries. Just about any flavor shake that you can imagine. And they are delicious. Get your shake, shake, shake on at Five Guys Burgers and Fries. Five Guys Burgers and Fries, located in Hickson at North Point. Gun Barrel at the Walmart Center. Downtown 4th and Broad. And in Cleveland at Keith and Stewart.
After some morning clouds, expect some sunshine for your Friday. A nice afternoon. Highs back into the mid-60s. Tonight, clear, chilly lows near 40. For Saturday, beautiful weather on the way. Lots of sun, highs lower 70s. A dry start to Easter Sunday. Some afternoon showers, highs lower 70s. Come to the Norris Auction in Trenton every Saturday night and tonight as well, starting at 6 p.m. with bargains galore and something for everyone. Norris Auction just off 559 on Highway 136 West Trenton. And I'm 1412 Chief Meteorologist Patrick Hoare on AM 1240 Hot News Talk Radio.
Need more of your tax money back faster? EJPelton.com. Save time and money now. EJPelton.com. You wouldn't want to go to a dance by yourself, so why dance with the IRS alone? EJPelton.com. Get more of your money back faster now. EJPelton.com. For you and your business. EJ Pelton Tax Resolution and E-Filing Services. You earned it. Now keep more of your money. EJPelton.com. Offices in Brainerd and Sonic. EJPelton.com.
Yeah, I'm the tax man.
Sign up today. You want to take these classes. 50% off. Limited time offer. 50% off of all classes at P5 Preparedness. Space is limited. Sign up today. 50% off of all of their classes at P5 Preparedness.
P5 Preparedness on East Brainerd between Gun Barrel and I-75. Look for the Green Army truck. 423-602-2175. Look for us on Facebook.
Here comes Dale Earnhardt Jr. He's got third. He's going for second. Earnhardt going for the lead.
The NASCAR Sprint Cup Series is on the Motor Racing Network.
Fox News Talk 1240.
Hear it live on the Motor Racing Network, the voice of NASCAR.
Check it out live on Chattanooga's official NASCAR radio station.
Fox News Talk 1240.
AM 1240 Hot News Talk Radio with your Hot News Now update. A strangler is on the loose. According to the police, 34-year-old Jeanette Schulten was found dead inside the Chat Inn on 23rd Street. The Hamilton County Medical Examiner conducted an autopsy and determined the cause of death as manual strangulation. The CPD is asking anyone with any information to call 423-698-2525. The suspect is still on the loose. The Tennessee Department of Labor and Workforce Development says that a Tennessee employee working in Chattanooga committed identity theft in January 2015. TDLWD administrators are working with law enforcement to continue the investigation. The case is currently against Laura Heath, and it's still pending in the court system. Apparently, the victim has been contacted and any damages will be returned by the state. It's been revealed that two Americans who died in the Belgium terrorist attacks were Sasha and Alexander Pinchowski. They had just arrived at the airport when the two blasts went off. If it's going on in the Tennessee Valley, it's going on Hot News Talk Radio.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
Fox News Talk 1240.
Well, there's an odd story coming out of an odd source, but maybe it's not so strange after all. You may have noticed if you're watching on YouTube, you see that the title is Hollywood versus Georgia and Ted Cruz versus Twitter. Ted Cruz versus Twitter. What does that have to do with anything? What does Twitter have to do with Ted Cruz? Well, we're going to delve into this a little bit here on Best Shot, AM 1240, Hot News Talk Radio, and hotnewstalkradio.com. It's a website. Ted Cruz, right? Okay, so he's a candidate for president, right? No biggie. And he's a president, or he's wanting to be president based on the whole platform of being evangelical. Okay. Number to call in, by the way, 423-800-8949. That's 423-800-8949. And make sure you go to the website, hotnewstalkradio.com. That's 423-800-8949. It's your show, so sound off, right? This is a show for you. It's a show about you. It's a show about our local people here in the Chattanooga area and beyond, too, because we have some Georgia peeps, too. No problem there. Call in at 423-800-8949 if you have anything you want to say. Maybe you got a hat for sale, whatever, man. If you want to call in and say, man, I don't like that Ted Cruz guy, or I don't like that Donald Trump guy, or I think Bernie Sanders is a commie. Whatever you want to say, call in 423-800-8949. Now, the power of social media is something that should never be discounted. It is one of the most powerful entities in the planet, or on the planet right now, in terms of journalism, in terms of politics, because you can be killed by social media in terms of your campaign. And I think that that's what's happening right now. We are on the cusp of something potentially very big in the Cruz campaign. Now, again, you're probably wondering, why are you talking about the Cruz campaign? Who cares, man? Well, a lot of people here locally really like Cruz, and that's fine. That's cool. You can like who you want. A lot of people here really like Trump. A lot of people, probably 2 or 3 people, really like Kasich, the crypto Republican, who's actually more of a Democrat than anything. A lot of people are really hopeful and really vying for this political election. Right? The presidential election is something that everyone gets worked up about. It only happens once every 4 years. It's exciting whether or not you're really involved in politics or not. Some people are more into it for the reality TV aspect of it, which we're getting more than ever now. I mean, one of the candidates actually was on reality TV at some point, which isn't really a knock against him. It's just a fact of the matter. One of the candidates, Donald Trump, actually had a reality TV show. And you'll notice, you probably saw it all over TV. Mike Gallagher ran the soundbite. America's Morning News ran the soundbite too, of Ted Cruz going off on Trump saying, leave my wife alone. Strong language from Ted Cruz, by the way. He said, leave my wife the hell alone, which I was surprised at, considering his platform of being the evangelical favorite. But no, I mean, attacking somebody's wife is kind of a low blow. I will agree with that. Going off about somebody's wife in a political debate, though his wife isn't really politically involved. Kylie Miliana is not really politically involved with the Trump campaign. She's there, but it's not like she's going around talking to the people, as far as I know. So wives, okay. But you have to admit that Ted's one of a PAC, a political action committee that's affiliated with Ted Cruz, or at least is acting on, not really on behest of Ted Cruz, but it's acting in favor of Ted Cruz, actually started it with a attack on Melania, which is a kind of a bad thing to do, because again, that's a low blow. Attacking somebody's wife is a low blow. I don't know if Bernie Sanders is married, which is probably good for his campaign, but I wouldn't go around saying, man, Bernie Sanders' wife is obviously a bad person, and look, she's ugly and he's old, and that's just low. Attack somebody's ideology, attack their character, fine, but their wife, their kids, that's kind of low. I'll say that. But PACs, you can't really control. Political action committees, you really can't control. So Trump fires back with a retweet. It's not a tweet from him. A retweet is when you repost sort of a tweet that someone else has made. A comparison between Ted Cruz's wife and Melania, which is, again, a little bit low. I can't say that I give the thumbs up to that if it were my campaign. Maybe I'm more sensitive than Trump is. That's why he's a better businessman than I am, right? But this has just come out from a odd source that could change things a lot. So this is coming from, and I know this is cringy, but this is coming from the National Enquirer. Now, the National Enquirer, you see it on every newsstand probably. It's a tablet. I got a copy here. I'll hold it up for the camera. It's you see it. It's like, what's the headline on this one? Dying Michael Douglas, the end. Cancer relapse, losing hair, wasting away. You see this stuff all the time. I wouldn't really care about it, except that this is the same publication which came out with a story about someone you probably don't remember. John Edwards, who was running for president back in 2008. Remember John Edwards? Yeah, he ran for president back in 2008. Remember he had that affair? Who broke that story? The National Enquirer did. Now, I'm not saying that's the best publication ever. Obviously, like 99% of its content is just, it's tripe, essentially. I'm trying to come up with words I can use on the radio. It's tripe is what it is. But that particular story names names more or less. It has photos, censored photos of the alleged mistresses. And it talks about a little bit of background of these alleged mistresses and the alleged affair with 5 different women, according to the allegations from the writer of the article. Now, the writer of this article is taking a huge legal risk if this is not true. National Enquirer could be sued for so much money if this is not true. That's why I'm sort of giving a little bit of credence to it. This story from the National Enquirer, which names 5 different mistresses. That seems a little bit weird to me, that this is such a shocking claim is the name of the headline, by the way. I'll read you an excerpt from it. And nobody's talking about this yet in the MSM. Fox isn't talking about it. I haven't seen it on CNN yet, but Breitbart's probably going to pick up on it a little bit later. I'm expecting to see it on Drudge probably noon or so about 30 minutes probably. Shocking claim is the headline. Pervy Ted Cruz caught cheating with 5 secret mistresses. Now, one of these mistresses, allegedly, right, is someone who is actually working for Trump's campaign right now. And that's where things start to get kind of weird. You know Katrina Pearson? She's a lady who's currently Trump's communications manager. You've probably seen her on the media at some point. She's on Fox a lot. She's on CNN. Anytime they do any sort of interview about Trump, you'll probably see her there. But she used to work for the Cruz campaign. So an allegation that essentially names her, although it doesn't, but it has a censored photo of her, essentially names her as someone who's involved in this particular affair, if it is true. That's a big deal. So this is potentially a huge story that's sort of on bleeding edge right now. This is something that's not really been talked about at all in the mainstream. I was really expecting Gallagher, or whoever was filling in for Gallagher today, I don't recall his name, sorry, buddy, whoever was filling in for Gallagher today to mention it, but he didn't. So this is still a really, really breaking story. Maybe, honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if Colin Cowherd mentioned it later today at 12. He's coming up, by the way, at 12 o'clock. But I just want to throw that out there because this is an odd story that's just now come out. And if the allegations are true, that could kill his campaign because he has the evangelical vote. Cruz has the evangelical vote cinched. So if something comes out that he's being, he doesn't have the best fidelity, that could cause some major problems because there is something that the evangelicals take very seriously, and that's fidelity. That's faithfulness to your wife. Mormons similarly take this very, very seriously, and he's got the Mormon vote cinched because of the endorsement of Glenn Beck. So if this comes out and it does end up being true, that's going to cause a really big problem. So we're waiting on a tweet from Trump about it. We're waiting from some sort of statement from the Cruz campaign about it because he's going to have to address this at some point. Maybe in a day or two, the MSM will pick on it. Mainstream media will pick up on it. This could potentially be a really big deal for Cruz's campaign. So we'll have to wait and see. And I just want to throw that out there because I've not seen or heard anyone on radio mention it yet. So I'm not really breaking the story, but I'm more or less breaking it on the radio. And again, if you're doubting the validity of the story, that's totally understandable because I'm not 100% on board with it yet either. But I will mention again the John Edwards thing back in 2007. I've got a Wikipedia article about that scandal coming up right here. It says the affair was initially reported in late 2007, the year before the election in 2008, by the National Enquirer, a U.S. supermarket tabloid newspaper, but was given little attention outside tabloid press and political blogosphere until way later, when eventually ABC reported that Andrew Young, who's a member of the Edwards campaign, again back in 2007, stated that Edwards asked him to get a doctor to fake the DNA results. You remember the whole scandal about the John Edwards extramarital affair. We don't need to get into that. But again, it was the National Enquirer that broke that story. So this could potentially be very, very harmful to the Cruz campaign. And I say that as someone who really doesn't have much of a horse in this race because, again, I'm not Republican and I'm not Democrat. I wouldn't even say really that I'm independent because I don't know if I'm even going to vote in the national election, quite frankly. I don't think the president makes a huge lot of difference in the political sphere. In fact, I'll tell you somebody who is the most important person right now where you are. And I can name him too. The person who is the most important political, law enforcement, whatever person in our area right now is Jim Hammond. I'm not joking. That sounds like a joke, but it's not. Jim Hammond, the sheriff in Hamilton County, is the most important person in Hamilton County by far. It's not the mayor. It's not the county mayor, Jim Coppinger. It's not Jim Coppinger. It's not Andy Burke. It's not Fred Fletcher, although these are all still important people. No, it's Jim Hammond, the sheriff, who we've had the honor of interviewing a few times. Jim Hammond, the sheriff, is the most important person in Hamilton County right now. Why? Because he's the guy who can tell the feds to get lost. Think about this scenario. What if President Obama comes back from Argentina, which he did today, comes back from Argentina, he lands in the Chattanooga International Airport. Cool. All right. Comes for a visit. That's neat. Lots of people are still fans of Obama for some reason. He lands in the Chattanooga International Airport. He has to meet with Sheriff Jim Hammond. Now, the sheriff, and I don't want to put words in his mouth, so we'll use a different sheriff in this scenario. Okay. The sheriff comes up to Obama and they meet, and Obama says, you know what, Sheriff, I need you to start enforcing this sort of thing that I've got going on. I really need you to start looking at this particular area of crime more strenuously. Or, Sheriff, I want you on my side when the House passes this bill that would be about seizing unregistered guns from people's houses. Just as an example. Although that's highly unlikely, probably never happen. Let's throw that scenario out there and say that that does happen. The sheriff has the power to say, no, get lost. There's only one person who can arrest the sheriff. You know who it is? It's crazy. The coroner. Because going all the way back to common law, the coroner was someone who was an agent of the crown, who also happened to be normally someone who had at least some medical training. So now the coroner is someone who does autopsies, performs autopsies, medical examiner type stuff. That's the coroner nowadays. But in common law, it was an agent of the crown. And the sheriff was also an agent of the crown, but on a slightly lower level than the coroner. So the coroner is the only person who can arrest the sheriff. Really weird, I know. But that's the structure, and that is how it stands today. The sheriff has the power to tell the IRS to get out of Hamilton County. The sheriff has the power to tell the FBI, get out of Hamilton County. You name any federal agency, the sheriff has the power to say, get out of Hamilton County. Secret Service, IRS, Federal Reserve, I don't care. He can say, get out. The sheriff has that power. And because the sheriff is elected, I don't really have a problem with that, because the sheriff is elected in a direct democratic election. It's simple. The sheriff is generally not a particularly political position. It's a law enforcement position, right? Like when we arrest or when you arrest someone, that's usually not a political action. It's just a law enforcement action. But the sheriff does have some political power where he can say, I'm not going to enforce marijuana laws, as an example. The sheriff can just say, I find this to be unconstitutional. We're not enforcing it. My deputies will not be arresting you for possession of a certain amount of marijuana. Now, if you've got a pound of it, you're probably trafficking it, so we will arrest you for that. But if we arrest you and we pat you down and you have an ounce on you, whatever. We're not going to press charges on that. Or we're not going to arrest you just for that. That's the power that the sheriff has. Now, the DA may have something to say about that, but the sheriff does have power in that regard. So this is a very powerful position, much more powerful than the sheriff. Or sorry, much more powerful than the president, the mayor, Bob Corker, all people who I wouldn't say I have respect for, but I understand that they do have authority within the system of the state, right? Like Senator Todd Gardenhire is an important person. State Senator Gardenhire is an important person in this state. Governor Tom Graves Governor Nathan Deal. Tom Graves is another representative in Georgia. Governor Nathan Deal in Georgia is an important person. Governor Haslam is an important person in Tennessee. They're all very important people, but they're not the end-all be-all. The sheriff in your particular county is. And that's very intentional. This was set up very intentionally, and it's a good thing. He has power over the state police as well and over the city police. So it's very important that you understand who you have to answer to, because one of the most important words in the American lexicon is no. One of the most important words ever conceived is the word no. Denial, lack of commitment, lack of action. Some of the most important thing you can do is nothing in a lot of cases. So I want to throw that out there to let you know about that, because this is your show, and I want you to be informed. This is something that is informational for you and hopefully helpful for you too. Now, I'm not saying if a cop pulls you over, a city policeman pulls you over, you can say, well, actually, you don't have any power, and I'm going to call the sheriff. That's not what I'm saying. But I'm talking about in terms of a large-scale political action. The sheriff has a lot of power, much more so than the president does, in terms of directly affecting you. So there you go. Number to call in is 423-800-8949. That's 423-800-8949 is the number to call in here at Hot News Talk Radio, AM 1240, hotnewstalkradio.com as well. Go to hotnewstalkradio.com to listen live on the internet. Get the TuneIn radio app for your smartphone where you can listen live to your smartphone. That's Hot News Talk Radio on your smartphone. Lunch is coming up, by the way. If you're in your office and you're waiting for lunch hour with bated breath because we're all hungry, I know I am, you might want to go to Five Guys Burgers and Fries. Check them out. Five Guys is really good. They have some of the best burgers I've ever had, especially the fries, by the way. The fries are the kind of fries that still have the peel on them. Really has that really just crispiness to them. Not an overabundance of grease. They really salt them well. Amazingly seasoned fries at Five Guys. Love it. And if you go there, and I hope you do, check out the little box there. If you go to the one on 153, you'll see the little box there that has our logo on it. It'll say Hot News Talk Radio, but you'll notice the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series logo on it too. Fill out the card and put it in there with your name and email. If you guess the first, second, and third place winner of the Sprint Cup Series race this weekend on that card, you get $124 in cash as a weekly prize, and you get $124 worth of Five Guys food. Easy as that. So all you got to do is guess the first, second, and third place winners of the Sprint Cup Series race this weekend, and then if you win, you get $124 cash weekly prize, $124 in Five Guys food. How you'll know you'll win is at 11:30 on Binary on Monday. We'll call out the names of the winners. And if your name gets called, you have 12 minutes and 40 seconds to call in. If you don't call in within that time, sorry. But if you do, you get to claim your prize. We'll work it out with you. So 423-800-8949 is the number to call in. That's 423-800-8949. No, it's not a toll-free 1-800 number. It's 423-800-8949 is the number to call in. I'm looking at our Twitter right now, scrolling through, and you can go to Hot News Talk Radio on Twitter, and you can see all the tweets we got there. And something that I want to talk about, too, is really stupid. Okay, so there's a photo here of the highway being blocked to protest the Trump rally. And again, I'm not a Trump fan. I'm not vying for Trump for president. I think it's kind of funny that he's getting a lot of traction. I think it would be funny if he beat out Cruz, just because, again, I like chaos, and I think that would be funny because I'm really edgy. But there was a protest that attempted to block people who were going to his rally in Arizona, where a bunch of folks blocked the highway by parking their cars just in the middle of the highway and then walking around with signs and bullhorns and yelling about things. Obviously, that's kind of illegal because you're blocking traffic now. That's like if I wanted to protest a Bernie Sanders rally and I stood in the middle of I-75 and said, you guys aren't going anywhere. Now, I wouldn't blame you if you ran me over right about then. You know, if somebody brings in a bulldozer and runs me over, I wouldn't be particularly surprised. But liberals are kind of jaded and don't understand personal risk or personal harm. That's why they don't believe in weapons. They don't believe in carrying guns because they don't believe in taking responsibility for their own safety. That really is the argument that stems from it. They do not believe that you have a right to take responsibility for your own safety in carrying a gun. They believe that the state should protect you at all times, and the state should protect you, but you should protect yourself, because relying on the state is classic situation that's going to get you in a nanny state Soviet Union style position where now suddenly you are entirely dependent on the state to do everything. And that is the pipe dream of a lot of democratic socialists like Bernie Sanders. It puts more people dependent on the state. You need the state to get through education, free college. You need the state for healthcare with the healthcare acts. You need the state for, again, education at the lower level with Common Core. You need the state. That's not what we want as conservatives, right? That's not what even some Republicans want, although I'm very quick to demonize Republicans. Maybe I shouldn't be. But you'll notice 9 times out of 10 Republicans are totally okay with public schooling. A lot of them are even fine with abortion. Abort aside, it's murder. A lot of them are fine with limited gun control. They'll always say common sense gun control or whatever. Never heard of a constitutional carry, you know, never heard of such a concept. But you hear about that a lot. And it's frightening how many people who claim to be very conservative, right? They claim to be very constitutional. They'll say, well, you know, the Constitution, it's a living document. We can adjust it a little bit. People who wrote it back in 1780 something, I think it was 89. And when they wrote the Constitution, they couldn't have ever thought that semi-automatic weapons would ever be a thing. So you shouldn't have the right, obviously, because of common sense, you shouldn't have the right to carry these particular semi-automatic guns. Nonsense like that. You'll hear it a lot. It's ridiculous. I know. And you know it's ridiculous too. 423-800-8949 is the number to call in. That's 423-800-8949. One of the tweets that I see here on our Twitter, by the way, is a photo that says your highway blocked, and it's got a bunch of cars parked there who are protesting a Trump rally, and a bunch of people sitting on a fence beneath that with your border open, which is a kind of a funny analogy because, you know, it shows the priorities here. We're worried way more about some guy who's legally running for president versus a bunch of people who are potentially illegally getting into the country. This seems a little bit weird with the whole priorities thing, but you know, it's why the liberal position tends to be kind of, you know, mentally ill, maybe, you know, just a little bit mentally ill, maybe got dropped on the head at some point. I don't know. Hey, it's a beautiful day. Let's not be too down about things. It's a beautiful day today. It's supposed to get all the way up to 70 degrees by the end of the day. Going to be a nice day, nice and clear. Tomorrow, different story. Lots of rain is coming in by the end of the day. I want to let you know, we are the Colin Cowherd radio station. All you have to do to listen to Colin Cowherd is wait about 10 minutes because he'll be right here on the air on Hot News Talk Radio. Colin Cowherd is one of the best radio show hosts on the planet right now, and I'm not even saying that as a sports fan. His discussions really are that good. Listen to Colin Cowherd coming up at 12 here on Hot News Talk Radio. Check us out on Twitter, Hot News Talk Radio on Twitter. And one of our tweets here is, liberals are putting all of our lives in danger. Unprotected borders / weak immigration policy equals a pending disaster. And with the whole crisis in Belgium, I'm starting to convert possibly slightly to that position, maybe just a little bit. And it's funny, too, when we were talking about the whole Republican position. You see people like Kasich running as a Republican, and you're thinking, what's going on here? Because Kasich is all about gun control, right? He's all about Common Core. He's all about much more liberal border policies, which you may or may not have a problem with. But still, in terms of classical Republicans, what you think of as a Republican, like a Reagan conservative type deal, Kasich is not one. I don't know why he's running as a Republican. He's a much more viable Democratic candidate than anything. If John Kasich ran as a Democrat against Clinton, he'd probably have a pretty decent chance of winning. But instead, for some reason, he's running as a Republican against Cruz and Trump, and that just doesn't make any sense at all to me. Number to call in is 423-800-8949. Go to our website, hotnewstalkradio.com, and all you need to do is go to the TuneIn Radio app on your smartphone. That's TuneIn Radio. You can listen live, TuneIn Radio on your smartphone. And I want to remind you again, the most important person where you are right now is your sheriff. It's not the president. It's not your state representative, although he is pretty important. It's not your national representative, right? It's not Tom Cotton or anybody like him. It's your sheriff. Get to know your sheriff, know his positions. He's the most important person in your county politically. This is Best Shot here on Hot News Talk Radio, AM 1240, hotnewstalkradio.com, WSDT Saudi Daisy.